Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Detective Comics Before Batman podcast, episode 3, where we're going to go through the story Slam Bradley. Slam delivers the message from Detective Comics number 3 that came out in May of 1937. Now, we have been going through the first 2 issues of this Detective Comics Slam Bradley stuff, and Slam is awful. He is sexist, he's a racist, and I do want to point out again and stress that when we go through this, I hope that most people are laughing at the comic, not laughing with it. It is pretty awful, but there's a bit of a change in this issue because this story isn't as over-the-top, racist, sexist, any of that stuff, really. It ends up being a pretty straightforward issue, a lot different than the first 2. But I think that we're also seeing that Jerry Siegel writing it is having a bit of a stumbling block of what he can do with Slam Bradley. And this will be something that later, almost in my mind, the idea where people say that Superman is a boring character. He's overpowered. Nobody can stop him. He's just good to the nth degree. It's black and white, all of that stuff. Well, Slam Bradley is a guy who just punches people, and there's no real threat to him. So there is going to be problems. And I think that what they ended up doing and having Shorty just the most ridiculous character ever that always gets into trouble, always has bad things happen to him. It is kind of a stroke of genius because when you end up having stories, especially this one where Slam and Shorty are going to tangle with gangsters, which is pretty much what you would do back in the day of these early comics, a lot of gangster stories. Slam can't really be threatened much by a gangster. Yeah, they can have guns, but we've seen Slam will just take the gun out of their hand and hit him over the head and then punch the crap out of him. And so if you're going to have stories where you have a chase, if you're going to have stories where you need something to happen where our heroes, per se, have bad things happen before good things happen, Slam doesn't work for that. Slam ends up, if there's a chase, say 2 gangsters are chasing Slam may, 2 steps and then turn around and punch him. You don't really get a lot of, things that you can do with Slam. And it really, really, in my mind, comes into play in this issue, where you see a bunch of things happening that would not be able to be done with Slam. So you have Shorty. And even with that, you're going to have times where Slam should never let Shorty leave his side. When Shorty leaves his side, Shorty gets into trouble. Slam will not only let him leave his side, he encourages it. And also in this story called Slam Delivers the Message, this whole message at one point, the most important thing, he allows Shorty to take it and go off on his own, because without that, you're not really going to have any sort of conflict or story going on. But it is Detective Comics number 3 from May of 1937. Slam Bradley, Slam Delivers the Message is the story we're going through. And in this, you're going to have a little difference, too. And not just the difference of, boy, it's not as racist or sexist as the other. There is an art change. And it just seems to be for this issue for the time being, because you end up having Siegel and Schuster also doing another story in this Detective Comics. And if you go and look at that story, it is a spy story, and the main character looks like a combo of Superman and Dick Tracy. And I'm not going to throw any shade at Schuster because of the fact that you have a new artist. This is written by Jerry Siegel, but art by Jim Bettersworth, and it's not as good. You can tell right away that Jim Bettersworth, he's doing his best, I guess I can say. I don't want to really go, head over heels and say this guy is completely awful, but I will tell you he's no Joe Shuster. He is not Joe Shuster at all, because as we go into this, you see that Slam looks so different than before. He's got blonde hair out of nowhere. He had brown hair before. Now he has blonde hair. He might have a size 19 waist and the upper body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. The proportions are way off. But if you remember at the beginning of episode number 1, or even when we were just getting into this whole Slam Bradley deal, we ended up having a editorial edict that Slam must fight use his fist every issue. And he also has to get his shirt torn in a very sexy way. And we talked about this last episode, that already it seems like Jerry Siegel is like, yeah, that kind of handcuffs any sort of story that I want to tell. I don't want to end up forgetting about it as well, because it'll be my butt if I forget about it. So you usually start the issue with that fight. You usually start it. And it plays out okay, because later, especially in the Silver Age comic stuff that I do as well, you do have that first page, that credits page type deal, that announcement of what the issue is about, even though it really sometimes is nothing that happens in the issue. It can be that super dickery that I talked about on the whole Silver Age podcast. So you end up having it here, but it's just because Slam has to fight somebody and get his shirt ripped. We started last episode with that as well, where he ended up fighting that guy who then went on to be killed. So basically what you get is you start Slam Bradley with a huge fight, doesn't matter who, what, where, which then leads to the whole plot of the story. And that's how it happens here, where Slam says, a half a dozen more opponents, and this might be interesting. So he's basically saying that you 9 guys that I'm fighting, you ain't nothing. Get 6 more guys in. This isn't anything. And Slam definitely is one of those guys who goes into a bar, says, all right, who's going to tell me some information? And 30 guys stand up. We're going to kill you. 30 on 1 sounds interesting, but the odds are in my favor, and starts beating the crap out of her. He's beating the crap out of all these people while a woman is looking on, startled. And it does say, citing a group of hoodlums annoying a young woman. Is that annoying? 1937 annoying seems to me. It's more than annoying, but hey, Slam, hard-boiled dick, to whom a day without a fight is a day wasted, proceeds to wade in with flying fists, thus precipitating a battle royale. A battle royale. Where's Rey Mysterio? I need him to be doing some tightrope walking stuff, Rey Mysterio. But yeah, so Slam is walking down the street. I don't know how his shirt would have been ripped, except that he definitely did the Hulk Hogan. He ripped it himself. He's walking down the street. These guys, hey, baby, what's going on? He rips his shirt and just starts fists are flying. Again, I know that, a bunch of hoodlums annoying a young lady, that may be more in 1937 than what it's playing out, but you can't just go in and start beating up a crowd of people because there might be some catcalls. I don't know, but you end up where he is just beating the crap out of all the, and these guys, yeah, they're said to be hoodlums. Some of them look like they're 60 years old and look like they're just heading to work. And this is what Slam does. Slam gets up in the morning. Most people, they'll read the newspaper. They'll have a bagel, maybe some cereal. You have your coffee. You're getting ready. You're getting juiced up for your workday. Slam goes out of his house, rips his shirt off, and then just starts beating the crap out of anybody he can find. But it says it's soon evident that this is an unequal battle. Insofar as the hoodlums are concerned, a few minutes later, and they break loose and run for their very lives. So they go off running. Oh, my God. Now, normally, in the things that are what we have up till this issue, you would think that Slam will get paid in smooches, that he'd end up saying, which, again, would just end up being him harassing the lady as well, because I don't think she wants to smooch him just there. But she ends up still aghast and then disappears because another fella walks into the scene, an innocent bystander who ends up like, excuse me, Mr. Bradley. Slam turns around, grabs him by the arm, and is going to punch him. Now, this is an older fella, little chubby fella. I'm not fat shaming, but he is a little chubby. He's got a bowler hat. He's got, glasses with a lanyard. He's smoking a cigar. Pretty much 1937 healthy man, right? So he's like, oh my God. And Slam says, hey, are you a candidate for a broken jaw? And the guy's like, oh, no. And just right into this, which is the whole concept of this issue. Doesn't introduce himself. Later, it seems that it's funny because this guy doesn't even give his name. But later on, for some reason, Slam knows it. But yeah, I think it's Dyer or Dwyer, but they don't say it here. The guy just says, hold it, I have a business proposition. Here's $100 and 2 free tickets at the expo tonight. Give this sealed envelope to a man wearing a white flower and carrying a black cane. He'll give you another $100. Well, Slam's like, what gives? This seems weird. That's unusual pay for a messenger boy. Oh, well, I do unusual things. It's a deal. And he takes the envelope, gets the $100, goes off. The funny thing, too, is I assume that he goes then and he goes to talk to Shorty, his partner, as we know. I don't think he mentions this first 100, right? He probably goes like, yeah, they want us to deliver this letter and then they're going to pay us $100, right? Shorty, yeah. And Shorty says he doesn't like it. He says, this sounds like a trap. I don't like the looks of this. And you end up having Slam just sitting there. Neither do I, but that's why I took it. We'll find out what's going on behind all this. So this is Slam on the case. You know, he doesn't trust any of this either. So they're going to figure out now with that, you have the envelope. Just open it up. I know that that's not, honorable, I guess, but you're already saying that you don't trust this. Let's see what's in that envelope. If the envelope says, hey there, buddy, do you like me? Circle yes. Then you're like, oh, well, I'll go take this. But if you end up looking at it and it would have, I don't know, the combination to the bank's safe in town, then there's something going on. That's a spoiler. But you end up having Slam and Shorty. And Slam really gets spiffed up for this expo. Shorty, he doesn't even change. He's like me. He only has one outfit and he's going with it. But boy, he wears it well, right? So you end up having Slam in a suit and tie. He's got his hat on. I mean, this is the classy people. People used to dress up when they went on an airline, right? So he ends up going through the turnstile. Looks nothing like the Slam that we know and kind of love. But you end up, as he goes through the turnstile, you see the ticket taker. Oh my, I recognize that guy. Ends up hitting a buzzer, which then buzzes these gangster types, 2 guys and a lady, that they're nowhere near anything that would have a buzzer. Plus, you start the concept here that will continue on is what's going on here? Why are these gangsters so in tune with this expo? And this expo, it looks like a World's Fair. This is not, your typical, hey, this is our town and we have a carnival each year. The 4th of July carnival. This is what I take as their version of a World's Fair that seems to be run by these gangsters. And I don't get it, but you end up having these gangsters get the signal. Okay, Slam, Bradley, and Shorty are here. They have the envelope. Let's go get it. But, they're supposed to be there to deliver it. Like, what's going on? Why are these guys so whatever? So you think it's like, okay, they've heard word of this. Whatever's in that envelope's big. They're going to try to get it. So you end up having them. And it's very obvious nobody here has a black cane and a white, rose or white flower on their suit. So these are not the guys. You end up having like one of those classic gangsters, squinting guys smoking a cigarette. He's the one. And you can tell he's not in charge. He's a lackey. But he goes, hey, boss, I'll go over and get that letter from that Slam Bradley. So he walks over and ends up just bumping into Slam. Now, this is, I'd like to call this guy like Sticky Fingers Louie, right? Because he goes and bumps into Slam, grabs the envelope, pickpockets him, and then goes to walk away. Goes back to his boss. He's like, hey, did you get it? Sure, I got it. I'm the best pickpocket there is. I'm Sticky Fingers Louie. And so he's like, oh my God, it's gone. He didn't have it from that little walk from Slam over because they're just like peering around the corner. It's gone. And that's where Slam realizes, oh man, that guy stole the envelope out of nowhere. Shorty, like last episode, where you ended up having him do sleight of hand that nobody could ever do. He's like, oh, no, I got it from him. What, Shorty? Like, what? I saw him pickpocket you. You're like, nobody's just going to run into you like that. I mean, you're Slam Bradley, and I knew he pickpocketed you. So when he did that, I just pickpocketed him back. I got it. Look at me. I am great. And you have Slam. Good for you, Shorty. All right. But then, because like I said at the beginning, you can't keep having guys run into Slam. You can't have somebody just come and threaten Slam because Slam will beat the crap out of him, possibly kill him. He does not have a code. He does not have a line that he's not going to cross. So what are you going to do? How are you going to get this whole thing? Because we just started the story. You need to have these gangsters get this envelope so then you can have Slam and Shorty chase them down and do all your fun stuff with that. So Slam just says, you know what, Shorty, you hold the envelope. And he's like, oh, right, now you're talking sense. He ends up saying, you can take better care of this envelope. Now, in the roundabout deal, if I was writing this, here's a little script doctor, but if I thought even as I'm reading that wasn't the real envelope, that this was a decoy, that this was going to be something where Shorty would go off with this decoy envelope and you'd have the gangsters seeing this. They are there in the background watching Slam hand Shorty this envelope. I could only guess that this was no. He ends up giving it to him. There's no reason. Why are you doing this, Slam? You're supposed to be smart and hard-boiled dick. And then you end up having the main boss gangster because in my mind, Sticky Fingers Louie, he might have he's dead. He's no longer in this. I don't know what happened. He's only good for the pickpocketing. He didn't do it. I think they might have shot him. But you end up with this lady says, oh, I'll take care of this, big boys. And she goes over and smiles at Shorty, which obviously Shorty is going to be enamored with because no woman would ever smile at him, and then drops her handkerchief. So she walks by, hey there. And you end up having Shorty, oh my God, Slim, did you see that? That lady was undressing me with her eyes. And unlike all the other ladies who would have done that, she didn't vomit afterwards. She seems to like me. And Slam's like, oh yeah, well, she dropped her handkerchief. What are you waiting for? Go and give it to her. So he goes over, hey, ma'am, here's your handkerchief you dropped. Oh my, thank you, big boy. You want to go on some rides with me here at the fair? And you end up having Shorty like, oh my, that would be great. Hey, Slam, is that okay? Oh yeah, have a good time. Why are you doing this, Slam? He has the envelope. You're only there for one reason. You're there to deliver the envelope. Say, hey, Shorty, get her number. Hey, Shorty, maybe she can cut, but get this thing delivered. But no, you end up having Shorty go off and you have the lady, I'm frightened of these rides, even though she wanted to go on these rides. Hey, you go on by yourself and I'll just watch you. I'll just sit here and watch you and whistle. And so he ends up, all right, and they're at the ride, the Lupo plane, which is just pretty much a steel plane that's going to go up and down and around. It's going to go upside down and keep going. It's kind of like the pirate ship ride, but this actually will go upside down. And yeah, they're there. You end up in a side note looking as if one of the guys working the ride is giving this lady like the thumbs up, like, all right. Shorty gets on the ride. He gets in this Lupo plane, it's called. And you know damn well this envelope is falling out of his pocket. And so just to make sure that definitely happens, you have the lady go up to the guy, and a shady looking guy who's running this ride goes up to the guy and says, hey, make sure he stops at the top there, big boy. And he's like, I get you. And they end up making Shorty. Poor Shorty is stuck at the top. He's upside down. I would have been freaking out. It stops. The envelope comes out of his pocket, lands right next to the lady. She bends over and picks it up, and Shorty is pissed. He's screaming upside down. Hey, stop her. Stop that girl. She's got my envelope. Well, then the ride comes down, and he goes to this. I'm telling you, this guy looks like he has just woken up from a nap. He looks hey, doggone it, where did that lady go? I don't know. And I'm thinking, like, Shorty, start punching this guy. This guy was a jerk. And he says, Slam is going to kill me. I'm in so much trouble. Why did I think that this dame would have any interest in me? Look at me. I'm a wreck. And he says, I got to stop worrying about these chiseling dames. So he's all pissed. Well, in the meantime, the guy who Slam is supposed to go find ends up finding Slam for some reason, because that didn't seem to be the setup. And at least in my copy, this guy does not have a white flower and a black cane. He's got a red flower and a brown cane. So what gives? But he goes to Slam. Hey there, buddy. where's my envelope? Slam's like, you must be the guy I'm supposed to meet. Oh, don't get excited. I don't have your envelope. I gave it to my little pal, little guy with a large schnozola, and he has it. We'll find him, and then you'll get your deal, and you can pay us. So the guy goes off. Now, Slam, he doesn't seem to go off. This guy just goes in search of the shortest guy with a big nose and finds Shorty, and then says, where is my envelope? And Shorty says, oh my God, a good-looking gal swiped it from me. I'm real sorry. This guy says, tonight, before this expo closes, before the gate is closed, you better have my envelope or else I'll slice your throat. He ends up saying, my blade will find a haven in your throat. Now, again, he could say, like, you better get her, you don't get paid your $100, like that. Now, if you don't get it, I'm going to slice your throat. Again, though, if Slam was the one here, he ain't going to do that. He'd get that knife, break it in half, and kill this guy. If Slam was even there with Shorty, he'd take that knife, break it, and kill this. So you end up having this separation so that you can have these, where I do think that Siegel's running into problems. Shorty's there trying to think, what am I going to do? Oh, I really like my head attached to my shoulders. Oh, geez. And the man and woman gangsters walk by and he sees, oh my God, that's her. Now, he wants to end up hearing what their plan is, he says. Shorty, he's not a big dude. He's not going to be able to fight this gangster and the woman even. And so he wants to hear their plan. So to hear it, as they seem to stop, really inconvenient ears, shot away, he ends up getting on the merry-go-round, and it says that he listens in each time they go around. I'm telling you, he's going to get this plan. It's going to be, okay, that would be the plan. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm saying. When you're on a ride, you go with your parents to the amusement park or a fair, and you get on like the Tilt-A-Whirl, or you get on even a merry-go-round, and as you're going around, your parents are yelling something to you. You're like, why are you? I can't hear you. I'm going around in a circle. You idiots, just wave and take pictures. And so what plan is Shorty getting? It doesn't matter because Slam shows up and is like, I oughta, where he sees like, you ended up not having this envelope. You lost the envelope, and now you're on a ride and plus a merry-go-round. Grow up, Shorty. He grabs Shorty off of this merry-go-round, causing a huge disturbance, which then alerts the gangsters to get the hell out of there. He ends up yelling, what are you doing? What did you do with the envelope? And they run away. And he's like, it's them. They're the ones. And again, though, if this didn't happen, Slam would just come and knock their heads together and get the envelope. So you're having all these weird things happen just so that Slam can't fight, even though that's what the setup of this book really was at the beginning, for him just to beat the crap out of everyone. But the gangsters go off, and to escape, they get on the roller coaster. Right? They jump on the roller coaster. And a side note, it's a pretty cool deal that back in the day here, you end up seeing that the roller coaster itself has a conductor. There is the first car is actually the guy working the roller coaster, and he looks like, an admiral of sorts. I don't know, that seems like a little bit of a downgrade of a Navy admiral to now run a roller coaster. But who am I to say? I mean, some people want to chase their dreams no matter what. But just think of this. These gangsters get on the roller coaster. So Slam and Shorty run after them. They do the worst. They end up doing butts cuts and probably do have coconuts as well, going through the crowd. Coming through. Let us through. Let us in. Let us go. And get onto the roller coaster. Even though they could have just stayed there, the roller coaster does not go off the track and go off to, say, Albuquerque. The roller coaster only goes around the track and comes back exactly where it started. If not, where it ends, where you could go and find. That's usually very close, right? You end up having the entrance, and the exit's a little over. You can tell the exit, that's where they have all the trash cans so you can throw up afterwards. But instead, they jump on the roller coaster and just start screaming at the gangsters who are in the second car behind the Admiral roller coaster. Why? Why not use your head here and not go on the roller coaster? Because what ends up happening is Shorty he gets too excited. He tries to, step up, and I guess he's going to walk the roller coaster as they're going up that first big hill. And he's yelling, he's not in his seat, and Slam ends up having to grab him or he's dead. They go down the hill. Shorty's falling off the back. There's big troubles. And so what ends up happening, though, is that the ride ends. The gangsters just get off and run away. And Shorty and Slam are like, where'd they go? I don't know. They don't even, really, what are they watching? And it does seem like what they're playing at is the idea that Shorty is causing so much trouble that Slam's distracted. These people get away. So they decide again, we're going to separate. And now the separation ends up really being so that Shorty can go through the Keystone Cops version of let's go from tent to tent in this expo, see all the neat things that can happen, and Shorty almost dies every panel while Slam just goes to get the gangsters. In the meantime, you also have the guy now with the red flower and the brown cane chasing down Shorty because he's already giving him the threat. If you don't find the envelope by the time the thing closed, now you would also expect that they said, meet me somewhere, whatever. But instead, this guy, he ends up taking matters into his own hands. He goes against this whole deal where now he's going to chase Shorty throughout the expo trying to kill him. But as that goes, Slam goes off. So they're separated again. We've seen that doesn't work out, but you end up having Shorty go tent to tent. The one tent, he goes into what appears to be a giant wicker basket. I actually thought that it was going to be a snake charmer type thing, and Shorty was going to get bitten by, a bunch of cobras or something. It's not. It's actually a magician's act where he is eventually going to put his lovely assistant into this basket and then put swords through it as if, look, the basket of eternity, you cannot kill. But the problem is he's demonstrating it, even though it doesn't demonstrate crap, really. But he's putting the swords in, and Shorty's got like a sword going past his ear. It nicks his nose, like all these, oh my. And then when they open it up, he's like, oh man, I was in there. Have a good day. And he runs off. Well, that's where the guy shows up that's going to slice his throat. Don't let him get away. He's chasing him down. Shorty goes from there into the next tent where he almost gets killed by a knife thrower that ends up with knives all around Shorty's head. And then the guy's pissed. Hey, I'm practicing my knife, a throw. And what are you doing? And Shorty's like, you throw knives, huh? I have something you can throw them at. Let's go. You come with me. Basically saying, let's go murder somebody, it seems. But they go off now. You have Slam chasing down the gangsters who go into the fun house. They call it the surprise house. But they go into the fun house. And Slam is going to chase them. These guys again, because I think this expo is being run all by gangsters. These guys go in and say, hey, there's a guy coming after us. You stop him or you'll regret it. Hey, okay, boss. This guy tries to stop Slam. Slam just grabs his face and slams it into the concrete and then goes in and can't find the gangsters. Ends up almost killing an old couple because they're there and he thinks that that's the gangster and the woman. And so he goes, then he's in looking at like the mirrors. There's all the mirrors and stuff like that. Oh my, I look pretty fat with that mirror. And they're like, that's not a trick mirror, Slam. That's just a regular mirror. You are fat. But he ends up going, he goes where the attendant then chases him in and hits him over the head with a blackjack. And that does out of nowhere look like a police officer. Hits him over the head with a blackjack. That does nothing. It does nothing to Slam. And this is a hell of a hit to the head. Slam just whirls around, punches the guy, and then says, you take me to your leader. Basically, he's going to do that. Take me to your boss. Okay, I'll take you to the boss. And the weird thing is the boss is in quotes. I don't know why, but they end up in the side room. He's like, it's right in here. They go in. It's kind of a setup where this main gangster has a gun and he has it on Slam and like reach for the ceiling sucker. You end up having that police officer looking attendant laughing his ass off. He thinks this is hilarious. And the lady's there, but also the man from the beginning who actually offered the message and the $100 job to Slam is with these gangsters now who are trying to steal this envelope. So you have Slam like, what the heck is going on? You end up having the woman there. She is pretty much the the one who's got the sense. She pretty much says, let's kill this guy and both of them. Let's kill. And she says, Darcy, she says this guy's name. Let's kill Darcy and the Slam guy right now and just be done with him and get the hell out. Well, no, you can't have that happen. So the main gangster says, oh, no, we'll do that in a minute. Let's have a discussion here, because Slam says, hey, Darcy, what gives? You're the one who gave me the envelope. You paid me $100, and now you're in cahoots with the people trying to steal the envelope? I mean, this makes no damn sense. What's going on? And this Darcy does end up saying, well, what it was is I kind of work for the mob. I'm a piece of crap. I work for the mob. And that envelope had information to the fellas that I work for the mobsters that I work for. In the meantime, the other mob, this becomes West Side Story now, this other mob, or it's East Coast, West Coast rap war. The other mob, we'll call them Tupac, and then the West Coast, they're pissed off. They want this information as well. They want that going on. So I ended up pretty much saying, okay, well, you West Coast rappers, you can steal the envelope and then you can pay me more, which makes no sense, really, because they're mobsters. They're going to steal that envelope from Slam and then get the hell out, probably kill Darcy. But this seems to be his plan. It's a double cross. The lady says the perfect double cross. So in the meantime, though, what we have still going on is the original guy with the red flower and the brown cane going after Shorty. He's the other mobster was supposed to get that envelope, and so he might be pissed, right? So he just shows up. He just shows up in this room and starts guns ablazing. I believe that Darcy is dead. He shoots him dead. He falls over, and now we're having a huge gunfight going on. The whole room is filled with gunfire, smoke. Everybody's out. It looks like maybe the lady has been shot dead. And so Slam runs over to the other gangster, the gangster that he's against, slams him into the wall. And then you're about to have him be killed by, it gets all confusing, the man with the flower. And that's where you end up having Shorty show up with the knife thrower, who then throws knives to pin that guy to the wall, and everything's fine. And that's where Slam's like, maybe I should look to see what this envelope has. Well, what is the letter in this envelope? You should have done this way before, Slam, you idiot. And it basically is, like I said, the combination of a safe for the First National Banks. It's on the bank stationery. They realized Darcy must have worked there as a teller. He had the combination. He was going to sell it to the mob, and then he got greedy, and now he's dead, and everybody else is dead. But hey, we don't care. We got this letter. So let's go and tell the bank president. And goes over to the bank president. Hey, bank president, look at me, Mr. Monopoly. Look at you, you Rockefeller. You were about to get robbed. So here's a letter. And I can only imagine, too, now that this is now going to be Slam and Shorty's whole deal now. They're just going to go around with letters and say, hey, you got this, and get paid, because they end up getting paid. They end up getting $5,000 for this. Now, again, we're back in 1937. That seems a lot, but, maybe you could go a little higher than that. You might have had, hundred thousands of dollars stolen from you. You're going to give him $5,000. Well, Shorty is happy, and it is a check. He ends up, I'm going to present this check to you for $5,000 on behalf of our directors and myself. And Shorty says, well, you're not half as pleased as us taking it. And he grabs it. And that's where you end up having Slam, who looks now to look like a bald Lex Luthor, says, mere chicken feed, Shorty. Look at you. Slam, you rickshaw running bastard. He ends up, that's just chicken feed, Shorty, because you didn't know this. And really, you've been with me this whole time as we pretty much went from the expo over to the bank. It seems like we haven't separated, but you didn't know that we start our next case in 15 minutes. We have a new case. 15 minutes from now, we are on the case. And guess what, Shorty? that pays us $25,000. 25 big ones. Oh, my. And you end up having it end with $25,000 sounds like a lot of money. But if Slam and Shorty knew what they were walking into, certain death, would they take the case? You bet they would. Don't miss next issue. So I could just imagine it's going to be another one of these things where Shorty ends up almost getting killed 17 times and Slam just is in the background and punches a couple guys, rips his shirt. And yeah, so with this, you need something more. You need some bigger threats. You need some things that at least Slam, I don't know. You almost want to have Slam be told that you can't go and punch everybody. You're going to get arrested. I don't know. I don't know how you can fix this like it is going on because of the idea that Slam is going up against people that he ends up being able to just punch out at every turn. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more fun. This had some goofy moments, but it wasn't as fun as the first two issues, but we'll continue going through. I hope that you enjoyed this nonsense of an issue. And yeah, thanks everybody for your support. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying most of the shows, if not all the shows that you're getting. I'm going to go off and do a couple more of said shows so that I can finish up the day and the week as we get towards recording all of the Marvel and DC regular podcasts. But thanks, everybody, and I will talk to you later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.